And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. Here we see in the Koine Greek that these words chronon and micron refer to a short period of time. So that they should rest yet for a little season. Hina anapausontai, eti chronon micron. The words eti meaning still yet longer further emphasises the short duration. The literal meaning is essentially yet a little time or a short period of time. So there is a symbolic language defence that Satan's little seasonists or little seasonists could seek refuge from, because it is correct to identify that the Revelation is a richly symbolic book. An infinite being may consider 2,000 years or more a little season. And the 1,000-year reign is often portrayed as indeterminate, so a little season could be construed as indeterminate. However, there is a linguistic critique to be made of little seasonism. The linguistic specificity of micron. The core issue is the meaning of the Greek word micron, which is an adjective accusative modifying chronon. Micron means small, little, or short, as in physical size or brief duration. The problem here is that while the term is symbolic, it never carries the meaning of vast or great when used in a temporal sense in the New Testament. If John the Revelator wanted to signify a long but still little period in the eyes of God, there were many other Greek terms he could have used, such as anonios, just pretend I said that properly, or a simple modifier like a long time. The choice of micron strongly implies brevity in the scope of human experience. Okay, Mr. Fool Preterist. If micron is so specific, then explain how the 1,000 years is so richly symbolic. Isn't that convenient for you?
Well, isn't that convenient for you?
And the prophecy and telling of someone picking and choosing what is symbolic and what isn't. No, it's far fairer and more elegant than that. The 1,000 years and little season are both symbolic. The 1,000 years is symbolic of a 36.5 year period, and the little season is symbolic of a 3.5 year period. Context matters. Revelation is the magnus opus on biblical imminency, anchored in its opening declaration that the events must shortly come to pass. It serves to highlight the rapid conclusion of the ministry of death, or Old Covenant way, or Shadow way, the go faster stripes of prophecy. Revelation 1 tells us this is a book of things which must shortly come to pass, for the time is near. This is bookended by Revelation 22 telling us these are things which must shortly be done. Behold, I come quickly. Seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still, and he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. As if to say evangelism, there is no time for it. And behold, I come quickly, surely I come quickly. Avenging the blood is a key to deciphering this little season. In Deuteronomy 32:43, God promises to avenge the blood of the servants. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and will render vengeance to his adversaries. This theme is carried forward by Jesus in Matthew 23:35-36, where he speaks of the coming judgment upon that generation, that upon you may come all the righteous bloodshed upon the earth. Verily I say unto ye, all these things shall come upon this generation. This prophecy finds its fulfillment in the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. The martyrs' blood was avenged as God's judgment fell upon those who had rejected and killed his prophets and apostles. The destruction of Jerusalem served as the ultimate expression of divine judgment against the old covenant system and those responsible for the persecution of God's people. The phrase, until should be fulfilled, resonates with Jesus' words in Matthew 23 about filling the measure of their father's guilt. This cry for justice, echoing through Revelation 6, is central to the narrative's eschatological unfolding. Revelation's martyrs personify Israel's prophets whose blood cries out against covenantal injustice. So, the little season in context. The little season here is clearly defined by the time it takes for a specific, identifiable event to happen. The killing, martyrdom of the final group of Christians. That event is the climax of the first century Jewish war, leading up to the fall of Jerusalem. Problem for Satan's little seasonists is a 2,000-year gap between the martyrdom of the first century and the completion of the martyrdom of their fellow servants utterly destroys the imminent, urgent context of that promise. The text points to a short, imminent completion, not a span of 2 millennia. In Revelation 20 verse 3, Satan is bound for 1,000 years and then he must be loosed a little season. The little season must be a period noticeably shorter than the 1,000 years. If the millennium is interpreted symbolically as the long Christian era from AD 30 to 66 and the little season is then 2,000 years, the relationship between the two terms is broken. A little amount of time cannot be longer than the period it is meant to contrast. The little season must represent a final brief outburst of evil just before the end of the age. Preterism identifies this final intense and very short period as the specific years leading up to the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. The 1,000 years was AD 30 to 66, and he threw him into a pit, shut it and sealed it over him so that he might not deceive the nations any longer until the 1,000 years were ended. And when the 1,000 years are ended, Satan will be released from his prison and shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle, the number of whom is in the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. First, Satan was bound during Christ's earthly ministry. I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. How can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man? And he laid hold of the dragon and bound him 1,000 years. The 1,000 years marks a symbolic era of gospel progress, beginning with Christ's victory over Satan during his ministry. Jesus defeated Satan's accuser role, tied Satan's ability to deceive the nations, and replaced demon infestation with healing and kingdom proclamation. There's a little nuance here though. Vigilance against a bound Satan. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. This binding is spiritual authority, not absence of activity. Like a lion on a leash, Satan could still roar, but not bite uncontested. In Greco-Roman and Jewish literature, to be bound could imply spatial confinement, power restriction, or public shaming, depending on the context. Here, it means authority stripped, not vocal silence or total immobility. The loosing of Satan opened the little season. And when 1,000 years expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations, to gather them together to battle. AD 66 saw an explosion of messianic deception, chaos and rebellion fueled by zealots, false prophets and factionalism. Josephus gives voice to this. The final conflagration makes that point crystal clear. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out of it, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And indeed, Vespasian the emperor would send his son, the prince of the people who were to come, and they would compass Jerusalem, and they would destroy it and the temple, shattering the power of the holy people, signifying, according to the prophecy of Daniel, the completion of all things. Here we see the timeline. Jesus binds Satan, the 1,000 years, the little season, Gog and Magog, Satan destroyed. The imminent fulfillment of Revelation 20. The core thesis is the book of Revelation is an imminency document detailing the swift symbolic conclusion of the Old Covenant in AD 70. The little season is a term of brevity, not an endless 2,000-year plus age. Both the binding and the loosing were first century events confirming Jesus' word that the time was at hand. Hi, I'm Willie T, and thank you for exploring Preterism with me today. I'm also the author of this book, which you can pick up on Amazon today. I look forward to hearing your insights, and if you got any questions about it, please post below. It's not a shameless shill. I don't see a penny from these sales, and I don't grudge it, because it's all about getting the message out there and building the momentum of the movement. So if you're interested in understanding how the church missed the end of the world, what the prophecy interpretations ought to look like, and the implications for full preterism today and moving into the future, this is a text for you. Also, it'd be wonderful if you could consider a subscription, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much, and God bless.